Hey guys, you're welcome back to another episode in our TWI Tenses series. Just to recap, so far we've said that we use the regular raw forms of TWI verbs to convey actions, events, and states of being within the present state. Okay? And then for the past tense, we said that if you find a TWI verb that is directly followed by an object or an adverbial, then you form its past tense simply by doubling the final letter of that particular verb. All right? But if the verb is not being followed by an object or an adverbial, then we said you form its past tense by attaching to the end of that verb either a or e to form the past tense. And we said the choice between a and e is determined largely by the last vowel of that particular verb, right? So we said if the verb ends in either e or u, then we will form the past tense by suffixing the e to that verb if it's not being followed by an object or an adverbial. But then we said if the verb does not end in either e or u, then we will typically suffix a to that verb to form its past tense, if again it's not being followed by an object or an adverbial. So this is just by way of a recap, but it is very important that you take those lessons before you come to the present one. Okay, very, very important. So if you haven't taken any, I suggest you click on the link above to go check them out. Now, today's lesson is going to be based on a premise, a question actually. So the last lesson presupposes that the TWI verb has to end in a vowel first for us to attach either a or e to the end of it to form its past tense, right? Let's go back. So we said that if the verb is being followed by an object or an adverbial, you simply double the final letter, which means for this one, it doesn't matter whether the verb ends in a vowel or in a consonant. Okay, you just double the final letter and then you have the past tense of that verb. Okay, if it's being followed by an object or an adverbial. Now, for the second one, we said if the verb is not being followed by an object or an adverbial, we attach to the end either a or e, and we said the choice between the suffix a or e is determined mainly by the last vowel of the verb stem, right? So we said if the verb stem ends in either e or u, then we choose the suffix e to form its past tense, right? Otherwise, we choose the the suffix a to form the past tense of that verb if it's not being followed by an object or an adverbial, right? So this brief recap presupposes that the verb has to end in a vowel first for us to choose either the a or the e to form its past tense. So back to the premise, the question that I said this lesson is going to be based on, and that is, what if the verb does not end in a vowel in the first place? All right, so what if you have a verb and it's not being followed by an object nor an adverbial, and it doesn't end in a vowel as well? How then do you form its past tense? And that is what we are looking at in today's lesson. Coming right up. So to start with, do note that TWI words generally do not end in consonants. Okay, so TWI words don't end in consonants generally. And when I say consonants here, I mean hard consonants. Okay, so the b, the g, the d, okay, and all those are the hard consonants. And I don't mean the nasals like the and okay, and I don't mean the semi-vowels like w, for example. Okay, I mean hard consonants. TWI words typically don't end in consonants. Right? We are going to have a lesson on this. It explains a lot of stuff, other stuff. We are going to look at that later, but take this right now that TWI words do not end in consonants. Okay, so apart from the nasals, and the semi-vowels, you'll find that almost all Twi words will end in a vowel. So essentially, the verbs that we are going to look at in today's lesson are those that end in the nasals, the and the all right? So if you have a Twi verb that is not being followed by an object or an adverbial, and it ends in or how do you form its past tense? That's what we are looking at in today's lesson. So to form the past tense of such verbs, we still attach to the end either a or e just like the previous one. But before you do that, you need to ensure that the verb ends in a vowel and not the nasals and Okay, so if you have a Twi verb that is not being followed by an object or an adverbial, and it ends in either or the nasals, I'm saying that we form its past tense by attaching to the end either a or e, just like, you know, the verbs that end in vowels. But before we can do that, we need to ensure that the verb ends in a vowel, which means we need to attach a vowel to the verb first before you can attach the suffix a or e. I'm sure when we get down to the examples, it's going to be clear. But first, let's look at the vowels that we need to attach to the verb before we attach the suffixes, okay? And the vowels are either e or e, okay? Either e or e, you attach it to the end of the verb before you choose either e or e to add to that. All right. Now, the choice between the vowel e or e is also determined by the vowel that came before the n or Okay. So your verb that ends in either n or the vowel that comes right before the n and will determine which one of these we will attach to the verb. Okay, I know this is, a bit complex now, but I'm very sure when we get down to the examples, you are going to get it. Okay, so have patience. Now, if the vowel that comes before the n or is either an e or an u, then your guess is as good as mine. Yes, then you choose e. Okay, you choose the vowel e to attach to the end of that verb. All right, but otherwise, you choose the e. Okay, so again, if the verb ends in either n or and then the vowel that comes before the n or is either an e or an u, then you attach to the end of that verb the vowel e. All right, but if the vowel that comes before the n or the is neither an e nor an u, then you attach to the end of that verb the vowel e. Again, we'll get to the examples, and if you haven't gotten it up to this point, I'm sure when we get down to the examples, you get it. Now, having attached the vowel e or e to the end of that particular verb, the rest is easy. All that you have to do now is to look at the verb now. If it ends in e, as in if you attached e to the end of that verb, then you choose a as the suffix to form its past tense. Right? And if the verb ends in e, as in if you chose e to attach to the end of that verb, then your guess is as good as mine. You choose as the suffix to form its past tense. All right? If you haven't gotten it up to this point, don't worry. We are going straight into the examples, and I'm sure you'll get it. But if you have why are there? So for the first one, let's take the verb nom. Okay, nom, to drink. And as you can see, this verb ends in all right, nom. Now, if the verb is not being followed by an object or an adverbial, first you need to look at the vowel that comes before the final okay? And then you ask yourself, is that vowel an e or an u? Okay, if it's an e or an u, then you attach the vowel e to the end of the verb. Okay, but if it's not like this one, so as you can see, the vowel is neither an E or an U, then you attach to the end of it the vowel E. And once you have it like this, as in once you have the verb ending in the vowel E, then you attach to the end the suffix AE to form its past tense. Alright? So for example, in the present tense, I can say Kofi nom. Kofi nom as in Kofi drinks. And by the way, this is not complete. Okay? So when you say Kofi nom, it's not complete for what you have in English as Kofi drinks, as in Kofi is an alcoholic. For that, we will say Kofi numonsa. Okay? Something like that. But for the purpose of this lesson, let's end on the verb nom. Okay? So I can say Kofi nom, Kofi drinks. And in the past tense, I'll say Kofi nomeye. Kofi nomeye. Okay? Let's take another example. Let's take the verb tong. Okay? Tong, which is to sell. And as you can see, this is ending in the nasal right? Now, you look at the vowel that comes before the final and ask yourself, is it an E or an U? Okay? If it's an E or an U, then you attach E to the end of the verb before the past tense suffix. Okay? But if it's not, like this one, as you can see, the vowel here is O. Okay? So if it's not an E or an U, then you attach E, which again in sound is E, as in pin. Okay? As in pin. So E, you attach it to the end of the verb, and then that will determine the suffix that you attach to it to form the past tense. Okay? So since we have O here, we attach E, and then we choose AE to form its past tense. So to cite an example with this, I can say in the present tense, ama tong. Ama tong. Okay? Ama tong. And then in the past tense, I'll say ama toneye. Ama toneye. Ama toneye. Let's take another example. This time around, let's use the verb tim. 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 Okay? So you look at the vowel that comes before the final okay? And then you ask yourself, is it an E or an U? Okay? And as you can see, this is an E. Okay? So we attach to the end of the verb the vowel E. And once we have the verb ending in the vowel E, we choose the suffix EE to form its past tense. Okay? So in example, in the present tense, I can say Ajua tim. Okay? Ajua tim. Alright? Ajua tim. Now, in the past tense, I will say Ajua timiye. Ajua timiye. Ajua timiye. So another example, let's use the verb dum. And this is very popular. So let's use the verb dum. Okay? Dum. So you look at the vowel that comes before the final here. Okay? And then ask yourself, is it an E or an U? Okay? And as you can see, this is an U. So you attach to the end of the verb the vowel E. Okay? And then you choose the suffix EE to attach to this to form its past tense. So in example, in a present tense, I can say Kaniano dum. Kaniano dum. Kaniano dum. But in a past tense, I'll say Kaniano dumiye. Kaniano dumiye. Kaniano dumiye. On to another example. This time around, let's use the verb pim. 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 So again, you look at the vowel that comes before the final Is it an E or an U? And as you can see, it isn't, right? So we attach to the end of the verb the vowel E, which again in sound is E, right? E. So we have that, and then we choose AE as the suffix to form the past tense here. Okay? So for example, in the present tense, I can say Nanchieno Pim. Nantwie no pem. Nantwie no pem. But in the past tense, I'll say nantwie no pemye. Nantwie no pemye. Nantwie no pemye. Okay? One more example. This time around, let's use the verb pon. Okay? Pon, which is to close. Pon. It can also mean something else, but we are not going to look at that here. So, pon is to close. Now, look at the vowel that comes before the final right? And then you ask yourself, is it an E or an U? And as you can see, it's neither an E or an U. So we attach to the end of the verb the vowel A, okay? And then based on that, we attach the suffix AE to form the past tense, okay? So for example, in the present tense, I can say yepon, yepon, and in the past tense, I'll say yeponeye, yeponeye, yeponeye. So to summarize everything that we've said so far, I'm saying that if you come by a TWI verb that ends in either or right? And then you find that the vowel that comes before the final or is either an E or an U, then simply attach EE to the end of that particular verb to form its past tense in that environment, okay? Otherwise, as in if the vowel that comes before the final or is neither an E nor an U, then attach AAR to the end of that particular verb to form its past tense. Again, in that kind of environment. And by that kind of environment, I mean if it's not being followed by an object or an adverbial. This is where we end today's lesson. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so before you leave. And be sure to check our other lessons in the tenses series. Thank you guys, and I hope to catch you next time. It's bye for now.